Hello, today's book is called Wheat Belly. He was going to name it Pretzel Brain, Bagel Bowl, or Biscuit Face. And in the book, it basically says when on this plan, there's no need to count calories or dictate percentages of fat or proteins. Just eat what you want from the recommended foods. Sounds familiar, right? Hello, health warriors. There's so much good information in this book. It's a pretty big book. There's a lot to learn. So that recommendation sounds familiar, doesn't it? Like the Atkins diet book. But I don't think that's a very healthy book. But he recommends it with a different twist. It's you can eat as many good healthy fats as you want, or vegetables and proteins. So it's Dr. William Davis. He says eliminating wheat is more important than getting rid of sugar, because your blood sugar spikes just as much, if not worse, and then there's a cascade of health detriments to your body. And he says there's no organ that is unaffected by the gluten wheat, or the gluten protein. He talks about it. Gliadin. No wheat, no diabetes. So basically says you can get rid of your diabetes if you totally eliminate wheat. Maybe not in every case, but he's saying he's seen it done. And if you're pre-diabetic, like I found out through blood tests, then this is a great book to follow. I'm just getting more strict with my carbs because I'm already wheat free. Wheat does bother me. And my sister's getting off wheat. She's just so chronic fatigue, and she's got the bagel butt. Yeah, she'll admit that. She would like to get healthier, and I've been working on her for years, and it takes a long time. That's why I want to do these talks, because we need an extra push. And I didn't have much of a weight problem in the past, but I did have chronic fatigue. And what started me on my health crusade is I got an ulcer. It was so bad, I couldn't eat anything. Ulcers will make you cry. And so I realized, that was the first time I realized that, eating all this junk catches up with you. I ate a lot of candy and just whatever I wanted because I didn't gain. But I later learned that I had Lyme disease as well. So that's equally difficult. My herbalist calls weight a disease, and it's not all your fault. It's not your fault, really. But we have control. Once you know what's in this book, then you have the responsibility. Then it's on you. A lot of people just bury their head. But my mom's getting on the bandwagon as well. She's like, I gotta lose weight. I've known wheat is bad for me for probably decades, and there's a revolution going on. I'm so glad, because I don't want to be chronically fatigued. I want to have sharp thinking. I don't want my Lyme to come back. I want to continue to go into remission because all the health things I'm doing create momentum. My herbalist George, he said your health is like a train. It's got a lot of momentum behind it, a lot of cars, a lot of baggage going along, and you can slow it down and then eventually stop it, and then make that train go in reverse. And we talk a little bit about anti-aging in here, about AGEs, advanced glycation end products. So with my story, with my story, I realized if you cut out your diet, eat totally clean, eat a lot of vegetables, and then have some supplements put into your diet like whey protein. And then first two supplements were papaya pills, and it was aloe juice. And of course, my doctor, he recommended like prescription strength Tagamet or something, and reduce the stomach acid because the wheat that we have is super acid producer. He talks about here dropping acid. Basically, when you eat wheat, it disrupts your pH. So very interesting. So much good information in here. Wheat, the unhealthy whole grain, and it's not your grandmother's muffins. So I like to overview the first chapter because usually a lot of the meat is good. The introduction, he said a lot of triathletes are recommended to exercise more and eat less to lose weight. I believe that is downright ridiculous notion. He says it's really, you need to eat better. Basically in this book, he says you need to eat as much good fat as your body wants, not anything fried, of course. And then eliminate the wheat, eat plenty of vegetables. We've heard that many times, but he goes into more detail. And when I know why, then I'm like, oh man, I have so much more momentum behind me. So read the book. Modern wheat is no more real wheat than chimpanzee is an approximation of a human. So he talks in here in great length about how much the wheat has been hybridized. And he says they're correct in saying that technically it's not genetically modified. This is worse. So back then, when they were doing all this hybridization, they didn't know what they're doing. They didn't do any tests to find out what these new strains and the protein that's in there that does the humans like we know now, which is not good. Now, we're not saying you can't have, he doesn't say you can't have any, there's ancient wheats that you can eat. When he talks about einkorn, I want to try it. I want to find it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go online and see about ordering some. There's some farmers who brought some ancient grains back from, did he say in the Middle East, India, from faraway lands, trying to give it a rebirth. So modern wheat, he says, is basically not real. Because the effects of this modern wheat they have, I call it gluten wheat. The devastating intestinal disease that develops from exposure to wheat gluten, to an assortment of neurological disorders. See, I couldn't even say neurological. It's from all the past wheat and glycation processes happen to me. So there's some irreversible damage that happens. And so that's why it's more important to stop now and to work on your health. Because you can get to a point where you can't reverse some damage. We're all aging, of course. That's not all reversible, right? So the assortment of neurological disorders, diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, curious rashes, and paralyzing delusions of schizophrenia. And he also talked about somewhere else in the book about Alzheimer's. Yeah. But if you eliminate it, you can get some rapid weight loss and also clear thinking. I liken the widely accepted advice to eat healthy whole grains to telling an alcoholic that if a drink or two won't hurt, 9 or 10 may be even better. Taking this advice has disastrous repercussions on health. So, so an alcoholic, in another part of the book, he says an alcoholic who say has 10 drinks a night, it's hard to can you tell them, okay, now just have 2 drinks a night, right? They have to go off. They have to quit it, right? But not quitting all wheat. You can quit it, and then you can get some other wheats. What I like to say, and you're gonna hear me say this on other talks too, that you need transitional foods. I did, and I think a lot of other people do. Maybe you can do it cold turkey, and you have more willpower than me. But So transitional foods, like I did spelt for a while. Quinoa is a good goal. I have some quinoa pasta that I use instead of regular wheat. Oh, and he says there's no organ unaffected by wheat. It produces estrogen, creating man breasts for men. So some people have gotten to the point where they, how many people say, I don't get it. I exercise 5 days a week. I cut my fat and increased my healthy grains. Yet I can't stop gaining weight. That's the recommendation, he said, and it doesn't work. He's like, do the opposite. Get rid of all grains at first. Eat good healthy fats and vegetables. Make yourself some quiche. And watch the weight come off. And Dave Asprey says similar to his book, in his book, The Bulletproof Diet. He was 300 pounds, did all these things that they recommend in conventional thinking on the media, and he couldn't lose any weight. He was exercising like a madman. So okay. So here, William Davis, MD. Can you see the picture? Yeah, there he is, right there. Good guy. He said when he went to college, he made the mistake of being given. He said he was armed with an all-you-can-eat dining room ticket. You could eat pancakes, fettuccine alfredo for lunch, pasta for dinner, poppy seed muffins, and angel food cake for dessert. You bet. For 20 years, I battled this effect, drinking gallons of coffee, struggling to shake off the pervasive stupor that persisted no matter how many hours I slept each night. Does that sound familiar? Does it identify with some of us? I know that's my past, sleeping. That's, for me, just sleeping is a reason to stay away from wheat. I love to sleep. It's great, isn't it? You can get a good night's sleep. Take a little bit of natural sleeping aids, like there's many different things you say. I take some tryptophan before I go to bed, and melatonin, and some other things too. So if you get off wheat, you're going to obviously be thinner, more energetic, clearer thinking, better bowel, joint, and lung health. Surely those are good reasons to forego the wheat. And the last part here, last subheading, a radical wheatectomy. For many, the idea of removing wheat from the diet is at least psychologically as painful as the thought of having a root canal without anesthesia, right? So I've talked to many of my friends about this, because when I talk about health and changing your diet, they're like, yeah, back in 2000 when I had my ulcer and I started getting into health and reading all kinds of health books, I was the black sheep. People didn't want to hear it. And I realized it's because the psychological changes that have to happen. And it can be a little scary, right? But what I tell people is, first off, you have to realize you're worth it. Love yourself enough to give your body better foods. You're replacing one with another. You're not pulling away food and pulling away your wheat pasta, and then there's a void there, right? You're replacing it with something better. I eat richer than anybody that I know. I eat a lot of eggs, free range, and organic. This is all free range and organic, as much as possible, of course. Eggs, butter in my coffee. Look that up online. And grass-fed organic cheese from Trader Joe's. Here's some right here. I got it. I just want to eat this whole thing right now. So good. So good. Yeah. So good. I'm just going to hold on to that. I love cheese now. I used to not be able to have it because of the hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides that were in it. I'm sensitive to chemicals. I'm sure a lot of you are. So the next chapter will explain why wheat is unique among the modern grains in its ability to convert quickly to blood sugar. That's why he says it's It's worse than sugar because it's like tablespoons of sugar. I think it's these like 6 tablespoons of sugar per slice. Uh, okay, so in chapter 2, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but I like this point. He says, I measured the length of the bread aisle at my local supermarket, 68 feet. You know we have big bread aisles here in the United States, right? And the rest of the world knows that as well. Oh, I love this. Chapter 8, he calls it, if you eat wheat, is dropping acid. Yeah, because it disrupts your pH and creates an acidic environment. And so what I do is I try to drink lemon water all day, and I drink lemon water with some Himalayan salt in the morning. I do a half a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. Maybe you shouldn't do that much. Just do whatever you know. Do some sprinkles in there, and some other things. You know, I put minerals and some antimicrobials in my water. Yeah. Oh, so he says, eliminate the wheat and eliminate your problems. Did I mention? He says diabetes can be cured. Look, I have my notes. Whenever you read it, try to put some notes in the front. I put the best ones in the front and then general notes in the back. It's great. It's great. He said many nut. Oh, so you want to replace? We're going to talk about a few before we're done. A few of the recipes in the back. They sound delicious. But so one of the things you can replace with wheat is nuts, of course, and it might take some time for you to get to like nuts, especially because he recommends raw nuts. You don't want nuts that have been processed, heated, sugar put on them, because he says many nuts are processed in an Auschwitz style equivalent of a factory farm. Yeah, you know, Auschwitz. He's likening the way some things are processed to concentration camp. Yeah, I don't know if anybody if you had seen some of these factories. It's not good for us. It looks maybe cool, the factories, but it's not good for us, especially when they heat things up. Okay, chapter 9, my favorite. Cataracts, wrinkles, and Dowager's humps, wheat, and the aging process. So in here, he talks about AGEs, or they call them ages, because it's advanced glycation end products. And for layman's terms, you can Google it. Basically, it means when you eat food, most food has these end products, or kind of like waste products, that goo up your system, right? And it causes aging. And if you eat wheat, it advances that aging process quicker, more rapidly. So, and he shows in here somebody who's 65. Some people look 45. You're like, man, what are they doing, right? He says biological age does not always correspond to chronological age. So one of the things people that look younger are doing is that they're restricting their wheat or not having it at all. Yeah, so the ages in here, oh, it's so good. So I know some of this is technical and difficult to understand. We have a little bit more time, but to me, I never realized how interesting it was to learn about what we're taking into our body and how it affects us. Okay, basically, you got to listen to this. Okay, so AGEs, the formation of ages goes like this. Okay, ingest food that increases blood glucose, so your blood sugar goes up, right? Like eating sugar. The greatest availability of glucose to the body's tissues permits the glucose molecule to react with any protein, creating a combined glucose protein molecule. Chemists talk of complex reactive products such as Amidori products and Schiff intermediates, all yielding a group of glucose protein combinations that are collectively called AGEs. Once AGEs form, they are irreversible and cannot be undone. So AGEs are notorious for accumulating right where they sit, forming clumps of useless debris resistant to any of the body's digestive or cleansing processes. So clumps up in your veins, your arteries. It could contribute to heart attack, or just some clogging, which would lead to a heart attack, right? The higher the blood glucose, the more AGEs will accumulate, and the faster decay of aging will proceed. Diabetics, for instance, are 2 to 5 times more likely to have coronary artery disease and heart attacks. So you need to understand a little bit of the process, how things happen. And you're like, oh, okay, now I understand. It just doesn't magically happen. There's a real process to this. And I've always been dedicated to uncovering that, because I don't want to just sit back and be a victim. Then he explains, oh my goodness, really much more clearly about LDL and HDL, the good and bad cholesterol. But I never had anyone explain it, that the actual bad cholesterol is not the LDL, it's the smaller LDL. There's 2 different kinds of LDL. So yeah, you have to read that for yourself. It's very interesting, because it seems like the way they explain it on TV, and it's been so confusing about he basically says in here they made a lot of money on confusion of good fats and bad fats, and that simply if you get rid of wheat and you eat good unadulterated fats, not heated, not processed, that your fat levels go to a normal healthy range. Of course, you can't gorge yourself on even, good foods, but till you're satiated, till you feel that you've got enough. And most people, they don't get enough nutrients, so they're eating wheat, and then they just have to keep on eating more and more and more. And the wheat, he says, stimulates your appetite. You're never satisfied. Yeah, so much good information. I'm going to do, again, probably another talk, second talk, third talk. But let's just go over some recipes real quick. And realize that once you close the door in your life with something, then you open the door potentially to a much bigger, more satisfying life. So in back here, he just gives you a little sample of some great things you can do. My favorite is I do some amazing whey protein shakes, and people have said that I should sell them. You can do peanut butter, almond butter, berry shakes. I like doing hazelnut and chocolate with stevia, maybe a little bit of raw honey. Okay, real quick, couple minutes, and we're out of here. Granola. He says use oats and quinoa flakes. You can make your own. I've made the best nut mixes with spices and raisins. Make my own, and so good, so good. I go to Trader Joe's, or you can order online. Go to Whole Foods. Okay, hot coconut flaxseed cereal, egg and pesto breakfast wrap, flaxseed wrap. Doesn't sound great, but he says it's actually very tasty the way they prepare it. Turkey avocado wraps, that's a popular one. Mexican tortilla soup, It's an all natural one, and of course wheat free. Tuna avocado salad, wheat free pizza. I've made some really good wheat free pizzas. You know, I think white bread and wheat, there's not much flavor to them. You know, this one lady said, oh, he said in here, comparing einkorn wheat, an ancient wheat, a lady who grows it in the U.S. said, wheat tastes like cardboard. This has a real good. This einkorn wheat has a real good nutty flavor. It's a real grain. You know, wheat is not real. Then shirataki noodle stir fry. I don't remember reading about this. These noodles are made from a konjac root. So I'm going to go to the local Oriental market and look for shirataki noodles. It's a good alternative. shirataki noodle. I'm getting those this week. Crab cakes, pecan encrusted chicken with tamponade. I don't know how to say that right. Parmesan breaded pork chops with balsamic roasted vegetables. Ground nuts can be used for the breadcrumbs, is what he says in here. Use some eggplant. Getting hungry. I didn't eat much for dinner, so I need to get something good. And I'm going to make a juice, fresh juice. Spinach and mushroom salad. I gotta eat more salad. It's always kind of a struggle. What I like to do is take salad and if I'm steaming something, put it in there right toward the end. I like my salad warm. I like it chopped. You know, there's a bunch of different ways you can prepare it and make it a whole meal. Asparagus with roasted garlic and olive oil. 3 cheese eggplant. Apple walnut bread. Banana blueberry muffins. I want to bake this here. Pumpkin spice muffins. It sounds really good. It's with almonds, walnuts, flax seeds, a bunch of spices. Of course, you gotta have dark chocolate tofu mousse in here. It's made with tofu. And ginger spice cookies, carrot cake, classic cheesecake, but with a wheatless crust. I think the crust is pecans. Yeah. Chocolate peanut butter fudge. There's some wasabi sauce, vinaigrette, and worry-free ranch dressing. So I wanted to do that because I want to show you. There's still that's just a small sample, right? There's so many alternative choices when you put something away. You open up the possibilities for so much more. Because actually, Americans, we have a pretty narrow-minded view of the way we eat. If you go to Europe or Spain, there's a lot of variety that we miss out on, right? Maybe not the restaurants that you go to, there's not a lot of it, but the people, they bake and cook more variety. And if you just broaden your horizons, we can do that. I like this. He said, so when we're in a hurry, and I just started doing this because I used to do it, got out of the habit. Instead of being like, oh, I gotta have a real meal, I try to snack when I can. So he says, when in a hurry, take a bunch of healthy snacks with you, like a hunk of great cheese, fresh avocado, some nuts. Make my own mix, really spicy and good. So cheese, avocado, nuts, raspberries in a little bag. That's what I did today at lunch. In order to satiate. So get the book, Wheat Belly. Lose the weight, lose the wheat, lose the weight, and find your path back to health. Good health to you.